Hi, this is Astrid. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the new MPC auto sample feature, which is awesome. But like any feature that features sampling as its base, it requires a little bit of finesse and sometimes a little bit of patience. So, in reviewing this new feature, I found myself trying different methods of sampling. The feature itself actually comes with a lot of little tools to help you try to get the best sample that you can possibly get. And let me just go ahead and just kind of start and show you what I'm talking about. So, what I found with the feature is the best samples that are actually easier to get are the ones that don't have a long tail end on them, meaning they don't have a sustaining tail end. But if they're like short, kind of small, with a small tail end, then the chance of your quality of sampling sound will be better. But if it has like a really long tail end that has a lot of extra effects that are running in it, or something that goes outside of the primary sound when you push the note, and it adds additional sound to the tail end, it's hard to get it to be perfect. Not saying that you couldn't get it perfect, but it's difficult. And with making your samples longer, of course, that's going to use up a lot more hard drive space and CPU utilization. So you have to be mindful of those things when you're doing your sampling as well. So as an example, let me, using my Korg ARP Odyssey, which is part of the Korg collection. And I like this synth because it's really old school. So that's kind of an ARPy sound. Now you can sample these kinds of things in their essence, but what I found when you're trying to sample this kind of stuff is the speed on each key can be affected. So say for instance, that particular key, which is a C, you would expect the same rhythmic pattern across the board on other keys, but what I found is if I sample this, and let me show you, I'll just go ahead and sample this. Okay, so I'm just trying to show you that I'm not making any changes to the sound before I get to sampling it. So let me go ahead and go into the tool. So the tool is launched by going into the sampler, of course, and you need to make sure that the resample left and right is turned on. And this is exclusively for sampling VSTs. If you're going to sample an external source, you need to select the input, which you're bringing the sound in to. So it could be input 1, 2, 3, whatever. So you just need to select what input you're going to bring it into. Once you've made that selection, the next thing you need to decide is what key range you're going to use. So key range meaning how many keys out on the keyboard do you want this thing to go. So by default it's set for C2 up to C4, which is like the middle C, up to the third C, or actually the fourth C on the keyboard. So that's quite a bit of range for a sound, which is okay. You could get by with it. But if you're wanting to make something like more dynamic, you would want to change your key range to make it like at least span a little bit more than half the keyboard. The other thing that makes a difference is the velocity. Velocity meaning the layers of sound. Like when you press down on the key, how much pressure is required to make it sound that way. If you've got sounds that change velocity based upon pressure, you may want to add additional layers so that it picks up those extra layers, or at least tries to mimic the extra layers. But for this sound, I don't think we're going to need that. It's just a very straight kind of square sounding, a square wave sounding sound. So the next thing we want to talk about is actually the sampling itself. So the note length. So knowing that this was an ARP, you want to be mindful of the length of the sample itself. So by default, it was set for 3 milliseconds. So since we know this is a kind of an ARPy non-ending kind of tailing thing, I'm going to set it for 4. And I'm going to leave the tail at 1 millisecond for right now. And I'm going to name this thing. I'm going to call it ARP bass. Okay, and then we're going to get into the looping section. So looping, I want to leave it on forward. I really don't want it to be alternating, which means, you know, back and forth between reverse and then forward, or just reverse, meaning all the way in reverse. So I want it to be forwards. I'm going to leave my loop start and end times alone. Now, this is where things get interesting. So the X fade, meaning crossfading, which allows you to be able to kind of merge the sound in with other keys. So say, for instance, I'm playing C2, and then I move from C2 to D. Well, the transition between the two sounds will be kind of affected by what you select here. So do we want it to be linear, meaning just straightforward, or do we want them to sound the same, equal power? So I think I want them to sound the same. I don't want it to be like any alternating sound values in there when I'm playing between keys and notes. And then that's it. That's it for our selection. So the only other thing you could do right here is when it completes, you want to make it a key group program, and I want to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click OK. So it goes through its process of sampling. Okay, so now that it's completed, again, I only went from C2 to C4. If I would have selected a longer key range, it would have started wherever I selected my start to start on the keyboard, and it would have ended on whatever key I decided I wanted to end on. So again, be mindful of that. If you want it to be a little bit longer than the standard middle C up to C4, you need to make sure that your key range is changed. Okay, so let's see what we've got. That's pretty good. Okay, so now you're hearing the nuances. I didn't press this one as hard as the first one. So the MPC's logic, the built-in software logic that the developers built in, still comes into play when you have your samples already in the program group. So any velocity changes, meaning how pressure that you place on it, will still be in play. But see what I'm saying about the speed? So I just started out playing C2. So see where the tempo is? And I went from C2, and it seems to still be the same tempo on that, what is that, a C sharp? So, but when I go to a D, which is a full step up, the tempo changes. And then when you go up even more of a step, the tempo changes. So that's the thing that I found with sampling things that have like an RP stuff, or things that have like long trails. And there's probably a way to fix this, and I just haven't spent enough time with it yet to figure out how to fix it. Yeah, see, so the further you go up the keyboard, it sounds even worse. But if I go and pull the original plug-in, it's consistent. So if anybody out there on the web knows how to fix that within the MPC, please let us know. Leave a comment, because that'll help somebody else who's struggling with this as well. So you wouldn't think that by pressing going up a key, or going up half a step, or even a full step, that the tempo would change, but that's what's happening. But as far as quality of the sample, it's actually very good. It's very good, even for just a layer 1 of velocity. So again, this is all really about finesse and experimentation. So I think probably the best thing to do if you're going to be experimenting with this is try to get comfortable with the actual note lengths and the tails, to make sure that you're getting enough of the sound when you're sampling. And then also the crossfading, because the crossfading is going to make a difference between the keys. So I went for equal power on this particular one, but linear, let's see what that sounds like. Let me go ahead and purge this one, and let's just see what it sounds like when we do that. So let me purge this one. Okay, we're just going to start fresh. I'm going to go back to the sampler. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I didn't select. Lost my plug-in there. Okay, so now I gotta go back and find my sound again. And let's see, I think that was here. Where was it? Oh, let's see. Nope, that's not it. Sorry guys, I have like totally forgot where I was within the plugin. Well, let's just find something that's close to what we had. Now it's just going to drive me crazy trying to find the sound again. Okay, let's just go back here, and I think we did have one that was... Okay, we'll go with that one because it's ARPy. Okay, so we'll just have to remember that just in case we have to go back. All right, so I'm going to go back to the sampler. Sorry about that. Okay, so this time, let's see, we're going to leave it at C2 to C4. We're okay with that. That one, we're going to make the sample. Let's just go with 5. Okay. Come on, buddy. Okay, there we go. So we'll make it just 5.7. It'll be good. We'll leave the tail. Let's make the tail a little bit higher. Make it a 2.2. I'm gonna call this ARP base again. We're gonna leave it at forwards. This time we're gonna make it linear, just so we can see what it sounds like. And okay, so let's see what we've got this time. So I'm going to start at C2. Go up half a step. So there is a speed difference. So it looks like the difference in the crossfading affects the tempo as well. So, because when we made it equal power, just going up half a step didn't change the tempo, but yeah, I'll have to do some further investigation on this. There's got to be a way to keep between the note values to keep the tempo from changing. So it looks like when I start back on like another like the second C, the tempo goes back to being normal. But if I go back down, like, so we'll just start from the middle C. So if I go up half a step in that key range, the tempo changes. But if I go up to the next C, which is C3, then the tempo returns. So yeah, there's some quirky stuff with this. It's a little weird, especially with ARP stuff. Now, if I did sampled something that was just a straight up like a flat non-ARPy sounding synth, let's go ahead and do that and see what that sounds like. Let me go ahead and clear this one. So I've been experimenting with this for the past couple of days, and I mean, again, what I've found with it is that it is a very nice tool if you take time to kind of tweak and really spend some time with the samples. This could be a really cool tool for copying like some of your favorite sounds, so that you're not having to be tethered to the computer for your VSTs. Like your favorite VSTs or favorite sounds that you're using all the time. So it would be really good for like a live user or an X user. But for us folks who are tethered, meh. So, I mean, I could see this, being a good sound design tool. If I use like Blue Cat's Patchwork, if I like merge a couple sounds together, I could pretty much create my own little sound library with this for the MPC, which would be really cool. So let me see if I can find a sound that doesn't ARP. So let's go back to some of these. A non-sustaining one as well. See if we could. Oh, see, like that. That would be perfect to sample because it's non-sustaining. It's a single shot. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's just go ahead and load that one. Let's just have to remember this one's it's factory number 0909. All right, me and my bad memory. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and go back to the sampler. Again, we want it to be in sample left and right. That is a mono sound, which is why when I opened it, it was resample right. But I kind of want it to be in stereo, so it's probably still going to be mono, even though I have left and right. I'm going to leave it at note value of C2 to C4. And I'm also going to leave the velocity range alone. I don't really think I need to have any other layers in there. The note value that we used the note length value we used the last time is probably overkill for this. So I'm going to set it back to 2, and I'm put the tail back to like 1. Okay, come on. 1.7, 1.5 will be good. And then we'll call this one just short keys. We're going to leave the looping value in forward. And I'm going to make it equal power because that equal power seems to be the way to go. We're not going to change the value of the crossfade. We're going to leave it at the default setting. And that's it. See what we get now. This one should be perfect because it's just a single shot with almost no tailing. Okay, cool. All right, let's see what we've got. Perfect. Just what I thought. Perfect. So again, it's really about finding a good balance with the length of the sample. So again, with the ARP that we're testing to begin with, because it's such a lengthy, it actually is a never-ending sample. So basically, you're having to sample the single shot of it, and catch it while it's looping, which is kind of difficult because it seems like what you would want to do for an ARP one is just to get a single shot of it, which would be just the bass sound itself. And then you could do the arping yourself. You know, now you have the arping ability within the MPC. And then add your own effects and stuff. And then boom, you're done. Again, it's really going to require some thought processes as far as what you're trying to achieve with the sample. Are you trying to get an exact copy, or are you trying to get enough of the sound to be able to recreate it long term? So if you're going to do it long term, the best way would be to get the one shot and then add effects, or if it's an ARP, just do the ARP manually and just go with getting the bass sound. So, well, I'm hoping that this is helpful, and please like, subscribe, and comment. I look forward to hearing from you guys out there, especially if you guys have been tweaking around with this and you found a way to control the tempo within the note values. I would love to be able to chat with you guys about that, because I'm sure that it would help somebody else as well. Well, thanks for watching.